Wherever you're joining me, I hope you're doing well. Welcome to India Tech Report, a platform dedicated to chronicling and supporting the growth of India's deep tech and climate tech ecosystems, with the occasional segue into other areas of tech entrepreneurship. I'm Hari Arakli, and it's time for another episode of the Climate on Monday. But first, a very quick wrap of some of the headlines that I couldn't bring you on Friday last week. Tether has partnered South American agribusiness Adeco Agro to launch a renewable energy-powered Bitcoin mining project in Brazil, using Adeco Agro's surplus clean energy to stabilize revenue and gain exposure to Bitcoin's value. AB Science has received FDA and EMA approval to begin a confirmatory Phase 3 trial of macetinib for metastatic castrate-resistant prostate cancer, using biomarker-driven patient selection for those most likely to benefit. Israeli quantum startup QEDMA has raised $26 million in Series A funding, with IBM joining in as a new investor to develop software that reduces errors in quantum computing and advances practical quantum advantage. Japanese eVTOL manufacturer SkyDrive has secured 8.3 billion yen, or about $58.9 million, in pre-Series D funding from major investors including Suzuki and railway companies to accelerate certification and infrastructure for its air mobility solutions. AST Space Mobile has secured an additional $100 million in non-dilutive equipment financing to support its accelerated manufacturing and network deployment for space-based cellular broadband. Maxvolt Energy has acquired land in Aligarh, Uttar Pradesh, to establish a lithium-ion battery recycling facility with a projected annual capacity of 5,200 metric tons, supporting India's clean energy and circular economy goals. Lamarck Biotech, an Indian biopharma startup, has raised 6.5 crore rupees in a pre-Series A round led by IAN Group to advance its thermostable insulin program and expand its biologics platform. Zoho Corp has expanded its R&D presence by opening a new campus in Kottarakara, Kerala, and acquiring local startup Asimov Robotics to boost its robotics and automation capabilities. Fractal Analytics is preparing to file draft papers by mid-August for a $500 million IPO on the Mumbai Stock Exchange, aiming for a $3.5 billion valuation and further expansion of its AI-powered data solutions business. Now, moving on to the Climate on Monday. The Green Climate Fund has approved a record $1.2 billion for 17 new climate projects, mainly in Asia and Africa, to help vulnerable nations adapt to and mitigate climate change, Reuters reports. The investments include $227 million for green bond markets and $200 million for green finance in India. Reforms will speed up partnerships and project approvals, aiming to reduce accreditation time for local partners from 30 months to 9 months. At a UN conference in Spain last week, 192 countries adopted the Sevilla Commitment, backing new climate finance tools such as taxes on the super-rich, levies on polluting transport, and debt swaps, Climate Home News reports. Leaders urged carbon and airline ticket taxes, pre-arranged disaster aid, and easier access to international funds for developing nations. The summit stressed urgent action as climate impacts worsen, with richer countries called on to lead on finance and support fair energy transitions worldwide. The UK government has unveiled its first ever onshore wind strategy, aiming to nearly double capacity to 27 to 29 gigawatts by 2030 and create up to 45,000 skilled jobs, according to a statement from the UK's Department of Energy Security and Net Zero. More than 40 measures will accelerate project development, streamline planning, repower aging turbines, and offer community benefits. The plan reverses nearly a decade of stagnation, boosts energy security, and seeks billions in private investment, positioning onshore wind as a cornerstone of Britain's clean energy future. Global investment in electric vehicles and batteries is booming, with China leading in manufacturing and sales due to strong state support and a vast domestic market, according to a recent report from the Rhodium Group. Europe is rapidly adopting EVs, relying heavily on imports, especially from China, while the US faces uncertainty as potential policy rollbacks threaten its growing domestic industry. Emerging markets are seeing fast EV adoption, often driven by affordable Chinese models, as the sector reaches a pivotal global transition point. Swiss startup Crosstown has secured 3 million Swiss franc, or about 3.8 million US dollars, in seed funding to scale its patented H2R burner technology, which enables existing gas turbines to run on 100% hydrogen or mixed renewable fuels. This innovation allows operators to cut carbon dioxide emissions by more than 300,000 tons per 100 megawatt turbine annually and reduce NOx by up to 80%, offering a cost effective path to decarbonization without replacing current infrastructure. Climate Insider has launched the Climate Technology Readiness Index, assessing how prepared emissions intensive industries such as oil and gas, chemicals, and power are to actually adopt and scale climate technologies, the Climate Tech Industry Media and Market Intelligence provider said in a recent post. Unlike traditional indices that track climate pledges, this tool measures organizational capabilities, R&D investment, partnerships, and operational deployment. The index aims to bridge the gap between climate tech innovation and real world implementation, providing critical intelligence for companies navigating urgent regulatory and decarbonization pressures. Igen, a US startup, has developed a solar powered AI driven robot that autonomously removes weeds from fields, addressing labor shortages and herbicide resistance, according to an AFP report that was picked up by the Economic Times. The robot, called Element, uses onboard cameras and AI to navigate crops, mimicking how human laborers would perform weeding, and eliminates the need for chemical weed killers. Priced at $50,000, Element aims to save farmers money, protect health, and promote climate friendly agriculture, with robots already operating in cotton, tomato, and sugar beet fields. That's it for today. You can find links to all the headlines in the show notes, wherever you get your podcasts. For in depth conversations with entrepreneurs, investors, industry leaders, and other stakeholders building India's deep tech and climate tech ecosystems, please listen to my India Tech Report in Conversation podcast. If you'd like to support my work, please subscribe to my newsletter, India Tech Report, to get all these in one place. I'm Hari Arakli. Thank you for listening.